another interesting story emerging, and that is from jewelers' side, because they are now saying we're getting more and more inquiries about, demand for gold. People are investing heavily in gold and silver, and these are people specifically who have the money and don't want to dispose it off in banks. So possibly trying to get their hands on more gold.
Totally. So I think precious metal, gold, silver, gems, jewelry per se, gems even like diamonds and other precious gems, all seem to have been in high demand, where people carrying again their hoards of cash and exchanging them for things which will serve to be of greater value and are less likely to be withdrawn from currency. But there are also contrary reports that many retailers, despite the fact that the 2000 rupee continues to be legal tender, there are reports that petrol pumps are turning away people with cash, or even other malls and shopping avenues where you're going, not the jewelers. This is, of course, a market that we all understand runs fairly significantly on cash. But many other modern retail outlets, including Kirana stores, are turning away people who have the pink note in their hands and sort of telling them that, opt for a UPI or a card-based payment instead of trying to get rid of the 2000 rupee notes on presumably shopping through their at their expense and through their stores. So so let's see where this goes. But I think starting tomorrow, 23rd May, the exchange facility at banks is going to start. So that's where the real trend will emerge. We'll try to see what is the length of the queues. We'll try to see how many people are going and repeating themselves in their queues, and get an estimation of how much money were people actually holding on to. And again, was it a case of hoarding a lot of cash at home which now gets exchanged, or is it just a case of some sundry notes in your accounts and you just want to get rid of them and get lower denomination notes? So that is something, that trend will start to emerge from tomorrow. But given the long runway this time up until 30th of September, I doubt it's going to be a situation like we saw in 2016. And it doesn't seem likely that people are really going to queue up in hordes outside banks and try to get rid of a lot of money in one go.
Yes, in fact, just this morning, as I said, I was discussing this with somebody I know of in their area in Tier 2 city, and they were saying that despite banks open on Saturday, and although exchange facility did not start, people were not really worried. They were not queuing up. They were not inquiring about their cash, which essentially means that there is no sense of panic in the market just as yet. But we'll, of course, have to wait and watch out.
Of course, I mean, the exchange facility starts only tomorrow, so I think
we'll have
the
to
litmus test will happen tomorrow morning, as banks open.
Right, and we'll come back to you at 10 o'clock sharp tomorrow morning to let you know whether what's the status on ground, what is happening in banks, how are banks opening up. But another interesting point, Rakesh, and I want to quickly bring you in before we move on, is that many jewelers are saying that we are not witnessing a similar situation to what we saw in 2016 during demonetization, where there was essentially a lot of panic in the market. So in a sense, alluding to what Karthik is saying, although the trend will emerge from tomorrow onward, but the sense on ground is that of calm at the moment.
Looks like, because we don't know what happens tomorrow morning, Shweta, but when the government and the RBI have taken this decision, I think they've done some calculation, because even if you discount politically and be brave and say that the Indian public braved through the demonetization trouble, which was significant on the ground, this government and RBI would be cognizant of what happened that time. So in that sense, in their estimation, this is, if we can call that the official estimation, it is a small change when it comes to 2000 currency notes being in vogue in that sense. So and also we have looked at the media reports and opinion writers and economists also alluding to the fact that this is much less in circulation. In that sense, there would be much less pressure on the banks. And in contrast, the banks would be happy to receive many more notes to further shore up their liquidity. But for a bank employee, you can imagine it's still a lot of stress, even if he or she doesn't encounter large queues. I just wanted to add a little bit on the gold. Gold is witnessing a tremendous phenomenon. One is the jeweler, which is the, at the common man's level, people are queuing up and, want to convert 2,000 rupee notes into gold buy. Even RBI is buying gold in a big way. Last 3-4 months, I was looking at some data. I don't have the numbers right away, but there's been a massive perk up, even RBI looking at gold. So gold never loses its shine in the contemporary times. And finally, I think we don't need to lose too much sleep on the inconvenience to be caused to people on 2,000 rupee notes transferred to banks. But without ID, I think it's not a great idea. I don't know why and who has advised. As of now, I don't know whether we are right, Karthik, in assessing that it's only the SBI which has,
That's
given
right.
this particular indication. But what happens with PSU banks is that SBI becomes the nudge bank. So I think other PSU banks will follow unless and until the government, or the finance ministry, or again the RBI, issues a notice that we do need an ID proof for doing so.
That's right,
So
Rakesh. And
yeah, let's
incidentally,
rest
from
to.
today,
Yeah, please go ahead.
Incidentally, from today, I think there were reports coming in the morning that there is an RBI Board of Directors meet also starting today, and all PSU bank leaders are going to be part of that meeting. It's slated to be a 5-day meet. So I think a lot more clarity should emerge. But Rakesh, I just wanted to pick your brains on, on the story that we saw in Hindu Business Line this morning, and it goes on to state that there is clarification from the RBI, not exactly from the RBI. RBI hasn't really been quoted here, but it states that 2,000 rupee notes will continue to be legal tender even beyond 30th of September.
Yeah, I was coming to that,
So,
Karthik.
so what does
We
this really mean? Because then why set a deadline? The deadline is only for exchange. But if you don't make your exchange till 30th of September, you are still lumped with your 2,000 rupee notes, and even beyond 30th September, they continue to be legal tender. So you can still use your notes anyway. So then, what is this withdrawal really for?
If I understand correctly, and there's a learning from the 2016 episode, what happened is that beyond the cutoff date, RBI at its regional offices, not designated banks, whether private, scheduled, or government banks, they had a window for another 3 months where you could exchange these notes. Only the regional branches and the main branch in Bombay and Delhi, that's where you can directly go and exchange these notes with the RBI. So that is a bonus window beyond 30th September. I think that is the case even this time, which we forgot to address when this story broke on Friday. That is an additional window, which I think the Hindu Business Line is referring to. I don't know what is the timeline on that. Is it 3 months, if I read it right, or is
No,
it?
it doesn't. It doesn't have a timeline stated, Rakesh. In fact, it quotes an RBI official. The RBI official in this case is not named in the report, but it states that it will continue to be legal tender beyond 30th September, which means you can pretty much use it regularly, like you use it today, and will continue to use till
I,
30th September.
I,
So
I don't think that's the way to put it, because 2016 the currency was no longer valid, but in terms of the exchange,
yeah,
that additional bonus was available for another 3 months. Is it
right.
3 months this time? Is it 1 month this time? Is it 4 months? I don't have clarity on that, and these are the issues that the RBI and the government should together put in focus and inform the public right away. There should be an updated FAQ every day from the
True.
bank.
True.
Yeah, and when it comes to banks, again, we were discussing how it impacts the banks. I think they're in a very happy situation, including the PSU banks. We will be looking at doing that story, Karthik. How PSU banks and Indian banks as an aggregate are doing pretty well. They're in a very, very comfortable situation in terms of their profitability, and thanks to two very, very bold and historic reforms. One led by Raghuram Rajan, who was the RBI governor then, in cleaning up the NPAs under the political mandate. And then again, this insolvency piece where banks are able to, which was done by under the IBC by the current government, where
Right.
they're able to recover quite a bit of their money. So operational difficulties to ordinary bank employees, but all this adds to their final P&L.
And there also seems to be, if I can call it, a grey market premium on 500 rupee notes. So there are reports emerging across the media as well as on social media that that the grey market exchange of 2,000 rupees for 500 rupee notes is happening with every 2,000 rupee note being traded for 3 notes of 500 rupees each. So 1,500 rupees is what you get in exchange
Okay.
of 2,000 rupee notes that you give out.
It loses
in the
25% of its value
yeah, but
in
obviously
exchange.
this is all in the grey market, and this is all people succumbing to panic, which I think
Okay.
at this there's no need for this stage for any sort of
Right.
panic to.
It's surprising because from what I'm reading so far, Karthik, is that RBI did not issue any directions to banks to collect identity proof.
That's right.
Or any sort of fill any form in order to
That's
swap
right.
the
That's right.
the
Which is why
2000.
SBI is saying come exchange
Exactly.
notes with
So,
no
so,
paperwork.
so the fact that it was never in place to begin with, and then SBI, now issuing directives that we don't need it, because initially they said you would need to tender some sort of proof, but now you don't need it anymore, also means that no other bank is going to ask for it.
Right. So my whole point being, if you were in any case looking at replacing those 2,000 rupee notes and you had stopped printing them in FY19, was there any need for the circular even to be issued? I mean, does it matter you have a time window to exchange till 30th, but it continues to be legal tender till 30th September, even beyond 30th September, it is legal tender. You can exchange it with no paperwork. You can continue to use it until 30th September, reports suggesting even beyond 30th September. So what was the real reason behind all this and creating this panic, so to speak, in newsrooms as well as eventually in
the market,
in the
amongst
market.
people.
So,
Absolutely.